Okay, so I'm going to take you through the first two scenarios to kind of give you an idea how this program works. What I have on this first page here is the booklet. So you'll want to make sure you have gotten to the page in the booklet that looks like your screen. So what we have here is sorry about that. Is we've got our scenario number listed up top. That's scenario 1, here's scenario 2. Just so you know, this information right here is for scenario 1. Okay. Down below, this information is all for scenario 2. Okay, so just so you can kind of figure out the navigation of the workbook. So we're going to focus on scenario 1 to start. So in scenario 1, it says our rent is due. Apartment number 17, amount due $400. Leave rent in the lobby slot, due date January 1st. In the talk bubble, it says time to pay rent. Use money in your checking account and take the funds from your rent jar. So let's take a look at how that is all set up. What you're seeing right here is the website screen. Okay, so you've now created your account. Get yourself to the scenario section, and you should be looking at the same thing that I'm looking at. Let me move this up. So scenario number 1, pay rent. Okay, before we even talk about this left-hand side, I want to talk about the jars and the accounts. What's happening here is the accounts, these are my total money. Okay. So that's the total amount of money that I have right now. Okay. So I've got $25 in cash and $425 in my checking account. So I have a total of $450 to my name. Again, my $450 that I have is broken up $25 in my wallet, $425 in my checking account. Now, if we look at the jars, what the jars are doing is the jars are a way for me to take my money and decide where it's going to go. What am I going to spend my money on? It's like a budget. So for the $450 that I have between cash and checking, I need $400 of it is going to rent, and $50 is for reserves. So at this point, you have $450 to your name. It isn't like you can just do whatever you want with that. You know rent is due, so it's called earmarking, or you're portioning $400 of it to the rent and $50 of it to reserves. So that would be if some sort of a thing happened, like you realize you need gas, or there's no food in the house, or there's something that you're missing from the house, like toilet paper that you need. That's reserves. That's for something that's kind of unforeseen. Okay, so let's take a look at our situation now. Let me zoom in to our little box right here. Okay, so it says, where did you spend money? We're spending money on rent. Now, there's no right or wrong. It's not going to check what you typed in here. So if I type Jimmy, it's going to accept Jimmy, but you do need to know that, like, when they look at everything, we look at everything, we want everything to make sense. So definitely write rent there. How much did you spend? How much is my rent? If you look in your booklet, rent says $400. Now, what you're going to notice is when I typed in $400, something happened right here. It says take $400 from your jars. Okay, so keep an eye on that section just for a second. If I make that say 20, do you see how $20 popped in up there? So it's important that as you go through whatever you're spending on this specific thing, you're putting the amount. So $400. I am taking it out of checking because my book tells me to take it from checking. That means debit card. And it says take $400 from your jar. Now, which jar is marked for rent? Well, my goodness, it's the rent jar. Now, here's what's going to happen. There will be a time, and we'll see it on number 2, where there are a couple different bills you're going to pay at once. And that's where this comes in. Read what it says. How much did you spend from rent? $400. Okay. So it says rent 400, save. Are you ready to go on to 2? Yes, I'm ready. Okay. So let's take a look at the next scenario. Scenario 2 says, congratulations, you got a full-time job. Your employer withholds taxes from every paycheck. The amount you actually receive is in your checking account, or what you actually receive in your checking account is shown as net pay on your statement. You'll divide the paycheck across your jars based on how you plan to spend the money. $25 for gas, and this car, that's the jar it's going to go in. So $75 for groceries and restaurants is going to go in the food jar. Your favorite band, $80 will go in other, and $142 for emergencies in reserves. Okay, so that's how the money is going to be portioned out. Now I want to talk about the paycheck for a second. On the paycheck, 2 things happened. This period, year to date. This period is the current paycheck. Year to date is the big total. Okay, we're in January. So as months go on, this year to date will change. But we want to focus on the this period column. Every time we take a paycheck and we portion it out, you want to look at the current pay period. Year to date is just so you can kind of keep an eye on how much you make for the entire year. Now there's another difference. I got paid $400 for my work. However, my paycheck only has $322.21. That's because there's taxes, Social Security, Medicare, more taxes. That's adulting right here. Okay? So, when we are budgeting our money, we cannot budget on the $400. It's not all ours. Once all my taxes and everything else is paid, I have $322.21. So in your bank account would be $322.21. Okay? So let's take a look at our scenario over here. So on your website, we're on scenario number 2. Where did you receive money? Okay, this is our paycheck. Now, if somebody owed me money and paid me back, I would write pay back from so-and-so. If I won the lottery, I would write lottery. But this is our paycheck. How much did you receive? We received $322.21. That was our paycheck. Now, if you look at your paper, we have some things to do. We have some money to dole out, and it's going into our checking account. Okay, and you'll notice to the right, $322.21 just got added to checking. But if you look in your booklet, there are specific areas that the checking money needs to be divided up. So if you look in your booklet, our first, it's on the left-hand side, $25 for gas. So find that in your booklet. $25 for gas. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click the car jar, because if you look, gas is going to, if there's car in parentheses. So I click car. Now the money that I put in, the $322.21, is automatically going to type in here. But that's not how much we're putting in the car jar. I'm putting $25 into the car jar. Okay. And you'll notice car gets $25 and on the left hand or the right hand side in my jar. And then on the right, car gets $25. Now the next one, $75 for food. Click food. Now if you notice, now it says $297. That's because it took my paycheck and it took $25 out for the car. Now that leaves me with $297. So $75 is going to go for food. Okay. On the right, my food jar ups to $75. Food jar $75. My favorite band is coming to town. $80 for tickets in other. So other would be things that happen that you're preparing for, but that don't fit in the monthly things. So food you're always going to have to pay for. Rent you're always going to have to pay for. Utilities always pay for. The other would be like a concert, or if you're going out of town, or if you know you need to back to school shop. It's something that's not going to happen every month. So other, I'm now down to $221. Other is $80. Okay. Finally, $142.21 remains for emergencies. Now, if you notice, I have $142.21. If your number here is not $142.21, you did something wrong. Let's say you did something wrong. Let's say you put too much in car. I can X out the car, and then, okay, now $25. Perfect. So if everything's good, checking, food 75, car 20, other 80, reserves 142, save. Yes, you're ready. Okay? So now it's your turn. You're going to go ahead and start working through the booklet. Stay focused. If you have questions on any of the sections, definitely ask, but this should get you started. Have fun.